Guys, we're on the 3rd episode of Good Grief, which is quite a poignant thing, isn't it? Number 3. Don't know why. You might notice something very different about us.
We've got no shoes on.
No, that's not
Gone all comfort today.
It's something new.
No. We're talking about this beautiful sign behind us. Kindly gifted to us by a good friend, Joe Aykroyd. Aykroyd? No one actually knows how to pronounce his surname. But Joel at Pure Plastics kindly gifted us a sign. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. And Harry, the husband, did the logo. So shout out to those boys because honestly, what a piece of art.
Can't stop looking at it, to be fair. We could spend this whole episode talking about it, to be fair, but...
We could. We're not going to, though.
People aren't here for that. Joel and Harry might be, to be fair, but yeah. Anyway, we'll stop smiling because we're going to be talking about triggers today. Have I just triggered you?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Thank God.
Oh my God. Trigger warning. Triggers. Triggers, really difficult thing to talk about because you don't want to be faced with them in real life and you also don't really want to talk about them. But it's really important to talk about them because getting yourself familiar with your triggers helps you build as a person. Maisie, what are some of your triggers
well,
after your loss?
Yeah, I guess we can talk about the kind of obvious ones first because there's a lot that come to mind. Well, when we were planning this episode, there was a lot that came to mind straight away. So, I think any kind of anniversary, milestone. I haven't had any anniversaries as such yet because it's been less than a year, but Father's Day was a big one. Obviously, you can relate to that. You don't realise how much they promote Father's Day, Mother's Day.
I know.
Until you don't have a dad or a mum.
It felt really personal. I was getting notifications from Etsy like, do you guys bother with me any other time of the year? Like,
oh, I know. I was literally printing like photos for the wedding and I kept on getting adverts from free prints like, oh, have you got anything for your dad yet? It's like, no I haven't because he's not fucking here.
Yeah.
But no, I think it definitely feels a lot more in your face when you haven't got that person. You had one last week, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, it was my dad's birthday, which was it was kind of weird. I think, I don't know. I think what I find weird about anniversaries, birthdays especially, is like we never really used to do anything massive, but that's what I'm missing. Like, I miss getting my dad a last minute card and him being so grateful for it, and like, or buying, like, me and Daisy would just go and buy him stuff from Card Factory and he'd be like, oh god, this is amazing. And it's like, oh, I would love to go to Card Factory and buy some tap. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And you know, you end up just, you're like yearning for something that like you really didn't think mattered to you. And I think in a way, I mean, it's made me appreciate the smallest things in life because I've really learned that, you know, with anniversaries and stuff, like, that is what I miss the most. It's not, you know, you don't remember like massive gifts that you gave someone. It's like the little cards and like, oh, I'm going to make you a really good cup of tea this morning. Do you know what I mean? Just like little things. Yeah, the birthday was weird. I found myself getting upset over something really weird, which was I got really frustrated that I feel like I've been rotating between the first, like, the only 20 photos that I seem to have of me and my dad on my phone. I know there's a lifetime of them, but I was getting a bit to a point where I always post something for my dad on his birthday. Like, he wasn't going to see it before, he certainly ain't going to see it now, and I'm a bit like, God, where are all the photos? I'm sick of recycling the photos. I want new ones. I'm not going to get new ones. And I got really upset about that. And, you know, I think that was weirdly the only thing I got upset about. I mean, like, me and Jamie, we did something nice. We got, you know, just chilled. I got through my working day, really applied myself at work, big distractor. And then as soon as everything slowed down, I was like, oh, 15th of July, like, bit of a long one. But yeah, it was, as you said, like, birthdays, anniversaries, they were really obvious triggers. But then, you know, some of them are just not. I feel like I stumble more at the ones that aren't obvious.
Yeah, I think, like, I'm at the moment, because obviously I've experienced Father's Day. That was actually the day we flew to Sri Lanka for the honeymoon. Yeah. So I was kind of, like, distracted by that, but then also went to Heathrow Airport the first time. Sorry, coughs back again. First time being there since we went with Vince to New York last year. So that was a bit of a trigger in itself on Father's Day. But I think for me, Vince was always really big on Christmas. So I'm kind of feeling very anxious about Christmas this year. I know it's not going to be the same. I kind of don't want to celebrate it without him. So we've kind of spoken about stuff we can do together. But yeah, I think like it's some of them that you least expect, like you say. For example, I went to football training the other day. On the way home, just stopped in M&S Garage to get myself a drink. And the last time I was in there was after me and Haz had a car crash, actually. We had like a head-on collision, wrote the car off. Thankfully, we were both fine. But Vince picked us up, took us to the M&S Garage, bought us like loads of food like dads do, because he was all worried, and you know, he was just worried that we wouldn't be able to get out of the house and stuff, bless him. So the last time I was there was with him, and you know, I went back and was like, oh God, like just hadn't thought of it. And as soon as I was in there, I was like, I feel weird in here. Why do I feel weird? Oh shit, that was the last time I was here.
It's weird how your body like feels things before you do. Like you would never have to think like, oh, I've got to gear myself up to go to M&S now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like your body's like, I'm just going to remind you of something really terrible that happened to you today. Like it's just a bit... I just hate that it trips you up so much, because like we were saying earlier, like you can be having like a really good day. Like you probably had a really good training at football, session at football. I mean, you two-footed someone, didn't you? So that was a good one. And then, yeah, you just get like sort of like, actually, no, you can't, you know, you feel like everything's just been taken from you and you're right back where you feel like you started almost. Like, I think that's what's hardest about triggers is like, I mean, you could say to anyone, like, yeah, I found it really hard going to M&S the other day. No one ever would be like, oh, right. But if you said, oh, Father's Day was really hard, they'd all be doting on you. But for some, I mean, I don't know about you in that situation, but the unexpected, not, you know, just a trip to M&S, becomes more of a sort of a hindrance to your day than, say, Father's Day when you've planned to be sad. You're like, you know, catches you off guard, and it's a bit like, oh, God, how do I pick myself back up again? Yeah,
that's what we were saying earlier, though, isn't it? Like, sometimes you get so worked up about an anniversary or an event that reminds you of that person that actually sometimes on the day it's not that bad.
I know.
It's the build up and sometimes the post event that's hardest. But yeah, I think some of the triggers that you're least expecting definitely catch you, and sometimes it can be overwhelming because it can be the middle of nowhere, or just like you're in a public place and you don't want to, you know, you don't know what to do about it. Like me in Sri Lanka when I saw that coffin car, like, you know, that was really stressful. But I guess another one that we were thinking about earlier was dreams, because dreams or nightmares. We seem to both have similar nightmares.
Yeah.
And it always, I don't know about you, Rose, but it always catches me when I'm having a better few days or week. Like, I could be feeling good, you know, finding things a lot easier, and then it's like, bam!
Yeah,
I'm going to really trigger you in your sleep.
And yeah, as you said, like we always have similar ones. I literally had one the other day, and my sister Daisy was just obviously up. We were having a great time, and then just had a dream about my dad being poorly and me trying to do everything I could to save him. Not necessarily like having cancer, which is obviously a massive trigger, like huge trigger, but like just the idea that my head is like, you're chasing something that you cannot fix, you cannot have. I know you've had ones of Vince where I've had ones before where I have a time limit to see my dad, and then I wake up in the morning like, that was so rude. Like, that was, why did my head do that?
It always seems to be like same for me. I'll have ones where I've got to unlock doors, or I can see Vince but I cannot get to him, and I try my hardest to get to him. Or sometimes I see him die in my dreams, which is obviously so fucking triggering. But yeah, it always seems to be like that you can't quite get to that person.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know about you, but in my dream, it's like my conscious mind knows that they're not there. So I must be dreaming. Yeah. Like, I always think in my dream, but I know he's not alive. So like, this must be a dream. I don't know if you're the same.
No, totally. I feel like I'm just chasing sort of like a false reality, like even though the end event, like normally my dreams aren't very nice, like as I said earlier, like having a time limit to see my dad. I know fine well that I would be lucky to have a time limit now, but I also know that opportunity is going to be taken away from me. So as you say, like you wake up in the morning and it's like you also just sleep rubbish. I find like you feel physically shit, mentally shit, and then you're like, okay, now it's time for work. No one talks about it. Like you know, you can have a day like where you're like, I need to take a moment for myself. And again, as we were saying earlier, like Father's Day, people will sympathise with you because you've lost your dad. But then, you know, I'm not calling people out because this isn't about that, but I mean, like, who's there when you wake up and you have a bad dream and you're like, no one gets what I've just seen,
Yeah.
you know? And then you can't like go into work and be like, I had a bad dream.
I think
You know?
I think though it's important to be honest. Like the last nightmare I had about Vince, it's maybe a month or so ago now. I went to work. I usually work from home, but I went into the office that day, and I was fine. Like I was on the train, I was upset, but I kind of pulled myself together. As soon as I walked in the office and saw everyone, just broke down. And I think it's really important to be honest.
Oh, totally.
You don't have to go into details, but
No.
you can say like, slept really shit last night. I'm really not feeling good today. I went into it myself, and I'm lucky that I have the opportunity to do this at my work, but took myself into like a private office space and worked on my own for a couple of hours. And then I felt okay to be around people again. But I think, as we said last time, it's really important that you listen to whatever you need in that moment.
Yeah.
Be honest, be open with your work or your friends or whoever it is that you're around, and just say, this is what I need right now. You know, support me. Hopefully they will support you in that.
Well, it is the reality of grief, which is why we're doing this podcast, you know, because it isn't just crying on birthdays, anniversaries, missing people. It's all the obstacles that come with it, you know, nightmares, how that impacts your working day, as we were saying. Like, it's a long series of things that people kind of need to, like, as you said, like, open your eyes to it a bit. Be honest. Tell people how you feel. I'm a bit rubbish. I feel guilty quite a lot.
Yeah,
like, not guilty because like I will often like I don't pull the card, but I'll be like, oh, Father's Day, having a bit of a rubbish day, like gonna pull my foot off the gas a little bit today. Is that even a saying? Because I don't even drive, so I don't know if that's the right thing. Like,
no, that's fine.
Do you take your foot off the gas? I do at work. But no, like it's just like if you're having a bad day, like sometimes it can't be turned around, but sometimes if you're having a good day, like they just spin into something pretty rubbish, and it's all. I don't know, triggers everywhere.
I think you're being harsh on yourself there though, because you're super hard working. You're absolutely smashing at work. Like
I know, and I love my job, and I work with brilliant people, and I do feel like I could be open and honest. But sometimes, you know, I think as well, another trigger is my work. Like my dad was my biggest support with my like writing journey. I'm a sports writer, shout out. But I really didn't want to do that anymore. So sometimes when I log on to work, I'm just like, God, I wish he could read this. I wish I could share this with him. That's a trigger in itself. So yeah, I guess I think everyone's a bit harsh on themselves, aren't they?
I think you need to listen to your mind when you need to take a break, and you are good at that. But at the same time, you work super hard. But I can imagine it is triggering. I mean, your dad was a huge football fan. Obviously, you had your love for the Arsenal. Same with Vince, like. He was a Man United fan. I know for Oscar, my little brother, the first time he went to Old Trafford without him was so hard, because that was the first time, you know, he'd gone without Vince, and it was really lovely because Vince's friend Gerpel and myself wrote something for the programme. So
that's so lovely.
Oscar saw that, and that was lovely. But I know that won't be the same now, and I'm sure there's part of you that like. Trips to the Emirates probably doesn't feel the same as it used to if you went with your dad, and it just it's adjustment, isn't it?
Anything, like literally the smallest bit of news or like a great goal, and you're like, oh, like it's just the one person you want to tell things to, and that kind of, you know, that doesn't just have to be about football. People are probably turned off because they're like, oh, they're talking about football again. But no, like literally everything. There's just triggers everywhere. I wish, like, the thing is, like, I think we could talk for about 24 hours on different triggers, because they're so big, they're so small, and they're just really fucking annoying.
Yeah, definitely. But they're everywhere, aren't they? I think we were saying as well, like, just little ones, like when we go to football training, we see both the coaches coach both their daughters. They both play, and that's so hard but lovely to see. Yeah, the bond they have. But it's so confronting, isn't it, when you see like that relationship? And I think for anyone who's lost someone in whatever capacity, like when you see someone else's kind of family and you look at them and think, oh, they've got it perfect, you know, they've got that lovely family dynamic. I wish I had that. I miss that. But I guess it's not always what it seems, is one thing as well. It's a bit like social media. You look at things and think, oh, that looks amazing. But actually, you don't always know what's going on behind closed doors. But obviously in that sense, you always kind of romanticize it, don't you, and think of your own experience in that respect.
Oh, totally. And social media in itself is a massive trigger. I mean, we were saying earlier about the Father's Day promos that you get on your phone, but you know, people will post up with their dads, their parents. I mean, even like if you have a breakup and you see a happy couple, it's like, oh God, like, you know, sometimes I know that like one thing you've done recently is you came off socials, didn't you? Just to
that was like I think that was I don't know, a couple of months after Vince died. I just had like a month off. It was before the wedding actually, wasn't it? And I just had so much to think about in every aspect of my life that I was like, actually, it's not doing me any good. And it did me wonders. I think it's really important. But yeah, I think it is really hard because there's so many triggers on social media. Also, what I've found difficult, it's amazing what we've done for Vince since he's died.
Yeah.
Raised over £7,000 for his charities, Trussell Trust and Salvation Army. But there's been so many fundraising events, so much on social media. It's like a constant reminder of him, which is amazing because he's had such an impact, you know, on Warminster Town and so many things like that. But it is really, really hard when you see their face kind of plastered over everything.
Well, we've said before, like, which is also triggering, is that sometimes you just like you feel guilty that you're not honouring someone correctly, whatever that means. You know, it's just, I think, a personal thing. But I mean, sometimes you just don't want any support. I know that sounds really crazy, but like we've both had days when we're a bit like, yeah, I feel a bit shit, but I just don't want to talk about it today. And you know, that's completely fine. I think it's triggering in itself sometimes to address what's actually happened to you, and that can sometimes be someone just saying, "Are you all right?" And it's like, I really don't want to talk about it right now. Like, I think, conversational triggers as well as actual physical triggers. Music is a big one.
Oh my God, I haven't touched on music. Country Roads, as soon as I hear that song, I feel like, I don't know about you as well, I feel like songs follow you.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
The amount of times, we went to the Beer Fest, didn't we? It's like a little family kind of festival in Cornwall that I used to go to with my family to, and we went for the first time a few months ago, and all my friends and everyone went, and it was amazing. But it was like we heard that song so many times. It was everywhere, but it's kind of comforting in a way, but it is also like, oh,
can you stop now?
yeah. And I'm sure there's probably songs that you listen to or artists you listen to when you lost your dad, and now you associate that with, you know, their loss.
Well, yeah, you just think of where you were at that time, and that's, I mean, emotional states, aside from like actually grieving, like how you feel at the point of your grief is triggering. As you said, like there's songs that I can't listen to, not because my dad liked them by any means, he might have, but because I listened to them at a really rubbish time, and now I'm just like, oh, that's just attached to so many not unwanted memories, but I mean, you know, no triggers are unwanted memories as such, but they're just a massive inconvenience.
Sometimes they're not always unwanted memories though, are they? Sometimes they're lovely memories, but it's too painful to think about them.
Totally, yeah.
And like it's just too raw. Like it's sad, but I used to listen to Coldplay a lot when I was a kid. I was a big fan.
Coldplay actually slapped, to be
fair. And Vince took me to see them in the Royal Albert Hall when I was a teenager. And I listened to them a lot growing up, and then for years didn't listen to them. And since he's died, like I get so much comfort again listening to them. And I mean, most of their stuff's depressing as fuck, but I usually listen to that when I need a good cry. But sometimes you also get comfort in listening to those songs that you associate with that person. But I think it depends on what day it is. Sometimes it just brings tears. Other times it's like wholesome. It's just, it depends kind of where your mind's at, doesn't it?
I think what's annoying as well is that I never get triggered like multiple times in a day. It's always like, I'm having a great week is going to hit me now. And then I have one. And then I won't have one for like, say, a couple of weeks or so. And then they'll just come and it's like, it's just a real big inconvenience. And I wish that I could like put into words how it makes you feel, because as you said, sometimes it's not positive, but like it always does fit. Sometimes it is positive. I mean, but like it really feels like calculated. It feels like someone's out to get you a bit,
especially with nightmares. It's just like, give me a break.
I know, it's your own making. It's like, I just want to go to sleep. Like,
I know. I guess the important thing to remember though is like with any triggers like this, and any time you do get upset, just remember that you are the reason you're feeling so much pain is because of the love you had that you haven't got that placement for anymore. You know, you've had all that love for that person and you feel like you can't give it to them because they're no longer there. But it just shows how amazing a relationship you had with them, or how much kind of love you can feel as a person. Like, in some ways it's commendable because it just shows that, you know, how much heart you have.
Yeah, it's something you don't think about every day when someone's around. It's like, oh yeah, I love my dad.
Yeah.
But then like when they're gone, it's just like, I really love that guy.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, I told people every day, I told him every day, but it's like, no, I can't believe that I had that capacity to love in that way. Yeah.
We did like a question thing earlier, didn't we?
We did.
We put it on Insta to see if anyone had any questions for this episode, because we thought it would be one that would trigger some, pardon the pun, trigger some questions. So we thought we would read them out, answer them to the best ability.
Yep.
And again, open space for any further questions that might lead from there. Jam, will you do the honours? These are anonymous questions. Do you want me... sorry, I just took them. Do you want me to read them?
No, don't.
Okay, cool.
Read
so we've got a few here. How do you feel with the guilt, abbreviation, feels like getting used to them being gone, but definitely not?
Yeah, I think what I feel guilty about sometimes is like on birthdays and Father's Days where I'm not sad. And it's not even that, like, you said it earlier actually about like allocating your sad days, so like Father's Day, birthdays, Christmas, everything. And sometimes I'm like, why do I feel okay? And I'm like, am I forgetting him? Like, and I panic almost. And then I'll see something like, I don't know, a dad and daughter like hugging, and I'm like, no, I still feel that.
Yeah.
So that I think it's natural to feel guilt, but I also think that it's something that just happens with time. I think that like your life does have to move on. Your life will never be the same, but you know, the people that we've lost wouldn't want us to stop living.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the thing that gets me through. I think it's been difficult. I felt a lot of guilt because of everything that's happened, you know, wedding, honeymoon, hen-dos. So I've really felt like I needed to have fun. And then when I've been having fun, I've been thinking, God, but I only lost Vince, you know, a month ago, 2 months ago, whenever it was. Well, obviously know when it was 5 months ago, but on that occasion, just to clarify. But yeah, I think I just keep thinking, well, he would want me to have fun, like you say, he'd want me to live my life. And actually, your mind does give you space to not feel shit. It's a survival instinct, you know. You can't go on feeling horrendous and sad all the time because you just wouldn't like live. Like you actually just wouldn't be able to cope with life. So it's like those moments where your mind is a bit more kind of kind to you. You need to enjoy it, because otherwise, what's the point? Like, what is the point in going on if you are just so consumed by the sadness? And yes, it does consume you, but when you have the moments of break, you need to live them as well.
I think so. Like a coping mechanism I have with that is sometimes I'll store things up that I've done and act as if I was going to tell my dad what I've done, because sometimes I think, I spent the day in bed crying. What reaction would that get, as opposed to me going, oh, like, well, I'm filming a podcast about grief. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just about spinning your own narrative in your head. But I mean, as you said, guilt is literally, it's just ingrained in us, isn't it?
It is. The next one is odd one, but do you find that some triggers don't become so powerful over time? I don't know that one because I'm too early on, Rose, but take the floor.
I think that's a really tough one. I can say that in some ways. I think my work is one of them. So after my dad passed away, I actually stopped writing. I got my degree, stopped writing, and I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't really see the point. It's too triggering. It's too painful. I never doubted that I was like not good enough at it, but I was also just like, it's not something that I want to spend my time on anymore, because it just feels so empty now. It doesn't have the same meaning. And now I've spun that into me thinking, there's nothing more my dad would want than to know that I've followed my dream and his dream of me being sort of a writer. So I'd say in that sense, yeah, it doesn't trigger me anymore. It's spun into something that's more like, yeah, it's like, oh no, I'm doing this for him. Yeah. I don't feel guilty, but to be honest, people say that like time is a healer, I think time gives you time to adapt to your new life.
Yeah, it's on the hill.
I wouldn't say it's a healer. It's still so tough. I still can't do certain things and see certain things, hear certain things, because it's always just going to take me back to that sort of life. But I'd say, yeah, it depends on what it is and what your motivation is behind it. You know, because it's with most triggers, it's attached to that person. My work, for example, that's my journey, that's my life. So I can sort of separate it and say, Dad would love me doing this, rather than it being, God, I miss my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I love that. Yeah, and he would be so proud of you.
Thanks.
How do you? God, I've like lost the ability to read apparently. How do you do?
I'm all right. How are you?
How do you, or have you experienced navigating working/the workplace whilst grieving? Oh, I know we've touched on that, but
I think you should take the lead because you're very fresh
yeah.
into this.
I am very lucky that I have a supportive workplace.
Mm-hmm.
I feel I'm being very, very careful. No, I've got a really supportive workplace. I think some people have been more supportive than others, but I don't think that's from people not trying. I think it's more of an understanding thing. And I think everyone's journey with grief is very different. So if you are grieving, you also need to be very open with what you can and can't do.
Yep.
I think, I, at the start, shouldn't have gone back to work after a week. I think my work should have told me not to go back after a week because I just, as we said in the last episode, experienced the most sudden shock of my life, that Vince died unexpectedly. So to go back after a week after that was way too soon. And I think work probably should have sat me down and had a chat with me to be like, are you actually ready? However, at the same time, I think they do let you as an adult decide what's best for you. And some people think that a distraction's best. However, for me, I just was in a complete state of shock. So I think my advice on that is really be honest with how you're feeling, tell them what support you need, and just really have a think about what is best for you in that moment. If you need to have a lighter workload for a bit, if you need to take some time off, at the end of the day, you're not going to look back on your life and think, God, I wish I worked that week extra.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And I think any workplace would be, or definitely should be, supportive of that. So, yeah, just be honest and open in the conversation about it. And, yeah, sometimes when you're having a bad day, take some time out of, like I did the other day, where you go into a quiet room. And just, I don't know, I really like to talk about Vince and talk about the things I'm doing for him. And I know sometimes it makes my team feel a little bit awkward because they don't know what to say. And I completely get that. However, for me, it's such a huge thing in my life. It's part of me. Yeah. So I will always talk about him because he's such a special person. And if that makes some people feel awkward, then that's okay. But that's probably just because they haven't been through your experience and they need educating on that. And again, this is what the podcast is about, making people feel comfortable in what is seen as an uncomfortable situation when it shouldn't be, because everyone goes through it. Harry's asked what's for tea tonight.
Go on, give him an answer.
Ramen. Bone broth ramen, actually, because this bitch needs to get rid of her cold.
Gosh.
Someone else has asked, how can the people around you support you when you're experiencing a trigger?
That's a good one, because I would say that most times you don't know how to support yourself in that moment. The word sort of spiraling comes to mind. I'd say that it's almost like an out-of-body experience, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's like you sort of, before you can even digest what is going on, it's hit you too hard already. I think it like really shocks you. I think if you've got, if you're around people you trust, and that doesn't mean like, a friend, it's like someone that really knows you, how you sort of respond to emotional settings, like that will always bring me comfort and will make me aware that I can like voice my triggers. my problem is, again, I am guilty in the sense that, like, I try and paper over, like, is it paper over the cracks?
Yeah.
Paper over the cracks. Because I'm just a bit like, it would be easier if I said nothing right now. And I'd say you're quite different in that sense.
I don't know. I think we're the same on the sense that you do feel like you spiral. I think, as you've said, you don't know how to help yourself in that situation sometimes. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you're like, right, I just need to go and cry into a pillow for an hour.
Yeah.
But I think communication is probably important. And it is shit for the people who are with you, because
I feel for them more than myself most times, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
because you want to help, but you've got there's nothing you can say.
No.
Absolutely nothing you can say to do or how. Like, yeah, it's just, you've got to. If they want a cuddle, give them a cuddle. If they want space, give them space. You've got to kind of ask them what they need right now. They might not know what they need, but, you know, just being there is, and whether that's in a separate room and waiting until they're happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
Just like that person knowing that you're there is really helpful, I think.
Yeah.
Would you say the same?
I'd say also, like, from my experience supporting you when you've been sad or triggered or something, is to think in your head, like, what are the main questions I can ask right now? Are you okay? Is something I always ask, even though it's quite clear that you're not.
Yeah.
Do you want a hug, or do you not want a hug? Because sometimes a hug feels a bit like, can you get off me? I really don't want this.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
If it's a no, it's not something that's offensive. It's like, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm here when you need me.
Yeah.
For now, just go and wallow. Because it is like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just prioritising the person as they would normally be. Or also just think about what you'd want. I know it's really difficult when someone hasn't been grieving before, but I mean, say if you were just, I don't know, not just pissed off, because being pissed off is pretty shit as well, but say if you were, you know, pissed off and you just needed space. I think sometimes people crave space because you can't digest your feelings, you can't properly feel unless you're comfortable. So I think, it's just making sure that you're supporting if you're particularly close to someone that's grieving, just have that chat when they are feeling fine and say, look, what is it that you are looking for someone when you are trying to network while you're grieving? Like, what are you looking for from a support system when you're at your lowest? And then you can say it. It might change at the time, but at least they know those questions to sort of ask you to brief, how am I going to handle this?
That's like the foundations. I like that. Kind of similar, but what helps when you feel triggered? For me, it's all very dependent on the situation, because so many triggers are so different. Like you've just said, sometimes you just want to be alone in the dark room. Sometimes Haz will be like, do you want a cuppa? Let's watch some shit TV.
Yep.
That will sort me out.
I love that too, yeah.
Yeah, I think it just depends. And again, it's just about asking, what do you need in that moment? Same for you.
Totally. And I think it's like dependent on the trigger, because they are always a shock to the system. You don't expect something to unsettle you. So I think a dose of normality is quite welcomed. Like, do you want a cuppa and watch some shit telly? It's like, yeah, rather than, do you want a hug and we can talk about it all right now? It's like, no, like, I never want that. Like, I'd rather just run and run. I wouldn't run, but
it's so funny, isn't it? Like, British people and cuppas. I honestly, the week that Vince died, I've never drank so much tea in my whole life. Like, because there was nothing, like, what else do you do? It was just like,
tea.
Should we just drink endless amounts of tea? But yeah, I think a tea always helps. It's just like warmth, isn't it? Sometimes
it's
just like holding
like
a cup
hug.
of warmth.
That's a good tip. Keep tea bags in if you lose someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have anything that's triggered you that has been completely unexpected? I think we've kind of touched on those before, but is there been anything else that's kind of sparked that at all?
Oh God, it's really difficult. I think sometimes like just conversations, like me and Jamie will just like have a chat and I'd be like, oh, my dad would say that. And like, I don't want to bring it up because I'm like, we're having a conversation. This is about us. Yeah. And then I'm like, but I mean, with Jamie, I will just say like, God, that's really upset me. And normally the floodgates will open. So it's almost a delayed trigger. Like it hits me then. And then I'm like, I can wait. Yeah. I really can't pin it on one thing, because as we've kind of, well, as the listeners have got the gist of, triggers are anything. Yeah. You know, it literally is anything. So
yeah, it's anything like you remotely associate with that person or the thing that's happened to them. I mean, oh my God. When it was a couple of months ago, I went to see my cousin Alex, shout out. In the Addams Family, because he's really into his Amdram. I never knew what the Addams Family was. Me and my mum and Oscar went along. It's literally about death. It's like, what the hell? So we literally went along to this, and there was like jokes about death. One of the songs was like, "Death is just around the corner." So that was really triggering, and I did not expect to be like crying, not happy tears, because obviously I was really proud of my cousin. But yeah, it was very triggering to see something associated with death. Sometimes you're fine with that, but sometimes it's like, oh, hits home. So yeah, I think TV programs and like things like that, they hit you when you least expect it. That is all the questions. Should we do our lesson in loss this week?
Yeah.
Do you remember yours this week?
Oh, I actually do.
Yeah.
I actually do. I don't know why I'm looking for approval. Jamie? I remember. So my one was that there's no black and white to triggers. Some days can start really good and then they can go bad. But some days you think are going to be bad and they turn out good. So I'd say I try not to... I'm trying to think of a really cool example, but I don't think I can. I'm trying to think of like a...
It's not as if we've like planned this.
Imagine. No, I know.
I'm joking.
Oh no, to be fair, there is one thing. Imagine if you got one stain on your t-shirt, right? And you're like, which happens to me a lot, again, Jamie. You wouldn't then go and throw a bucket of paint over your t-shirt, would you? So it's like one blot on a good day, you know? It's still there, but everything else is good. So why would you then go and throw a whole pot of paint because you've had one speck of
I like that metaphor. I like that.
That's what I was going for.
And sometimes in that moment when you've had the speck of paint, which could be the bad thing that happens, it really does feel like it's going to completely change your day and you're going to have a really shit day. But actually, you can sometimes come out of it and have a really good day.
Guys, it's a stain. Get the pink stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, you never know.
Collaboration there on the cards. Yeah, love that. I liked that.
What's yours?
Mine is take time off social media. It's rotting our brains.
It is.
Really I'm back to doom scrolling, guys, so I'm no better than anyone else. But having a month or 3 weeks, whatever it was, off social media was life-changing. Like, it's so good for me. I just was so much more productive, didn't feel a shit about myself. Like, it just really did me good. So I think every now and then, take a break, really kind of center yourself, do things that you don't usually do, or just sit and watch TV and don't scroll on your phone while you're watching a program. I was so much more into things.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I wasn't like,
it's so crazy.
I think as a generation, our attention spans are getting so bad, like so bad. So
she knows it. I can't do anything. I put TikTok on while I'm eating. I honestly just can't do anything.
I know, it's really bad. But yeah, that's my lesson in loss. Make sure you take some time off social media, especially if you're in a bit of a rut in your grieving experience, because it doesn't help. It only hinders. For those of you who are watching on YouTube or whatever else we've got this posted on, our camera's died, RIP. So this is us saying goodbye. The next episode is going to be how to support someone who is grieving. And we can't wait to catch up with you again next week. Thanks again for listening. Bye.